Hey, just Mark here. All right, so travel alone, travel solo. Just get on a plane and go. Now, if you're like me, you like travel, you've dreamt about travel, but also you've never really traveled very much. Now, I've had trips I've wanted to do over the years, and I put them off for other people, or we went to a different place, or, did stuff for family. And now that the last year and a half have gone by, I decided to make travel a huge priority for myself. And a reason for that is because there's places I want to see, things I want to do. I want to open up my eyes. So when it comes to travel, last year I took two major trips for myself. One of them was to Veradero, Cuba, and the other one was to Italy. So let's start with Cuba a little bit. That trip was more of like a relaxing, celebratory trip, finalizing, my move, my separation agreement being signed. I literally left like 2 days later. And I wanted to go to Cuba badly, and I have wanted to go back for a long time. And so I just took off and I went. I met some people along the way. I got to have some rum and cigar on the beach. And I just got to enjoy being in a country that I wanted to be with for quite some time. So here are some reasons that I think it's important to travel on your own. And I'll tell some stories about each trip. But traveling alone, the first thing that it helps you with is building some confidence. So the first couple trips when you go on your own can be a little scary, you're not going with anybody, right? But it gives you the confidence to plan, gives you the confidence to get out and meet people because you're kind of almost forced to. And I met people at the pool. Actually, I met in Cuba this wonderful, wonderful woman. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was in her 60s and she went to Cuba every year. Her and I hung out every single day. We had coffee, we chatted about stuff. She was from Germany, I'm German, and so we had a couple things in common, and it was great. And after meeting her, I had the confidence to go up and meet more people. And I met a young couple from Eastern Canada who I had a few adult beverages with on one of the nights. And it was a lot of fun. I also got to pet a lot of puppy dogs. So travel can help boost your confidence because you're kind of forcing yourself to get out of your comfort zone. And that's the other part. Like, travel will get you out of your comfort zone and get you going in life and doing things that you want, right? The other thing with travel is that it forces you to try a few new things. So maybe you're not outgoing like myself and can go meet people. Maybe you are scared to try different foods. So travel can help boost your confidence as you're forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations. When you travel solo, you don't have that social circle or that person who's with you to rely on to help you get involved in certain situations. And what I mean by that is that you're not just sticking with those people, and so it might force you to try some new foods. It might force you to get involved in some of the culture out there or wherever you've traveled. It also forces you to go and be a part of different events and different things. One thing that was actually really important for me, at least on the first trip, was it gave me a chance to reset myself and reflect on what I'd just gone through. And this is a very important part for many people. Sometimes you get to vacation and you're so burnt out from work or family or life in general that it gives you a chance to reset your mind, reset your body, reset yourself as a whole, and maybe reflect on where you are at that point in your year or your month or your week. And it's such a great thing to have because we need that rest. We need that rejuvenation. We need that reflection and a chance to, reset ourselves. So while it's good to, reset ourselves and learn a little bit, I think travel also helps us to learn a little bit more about yourself. It gets you to think about, what are your real likes, dislikes, things you want to do. Are you the kind of person who wants to sit on a resort and relax, or are Are you the kind of person who, learns that, oh, that's nice to do for a little bit, but maybe I want to go out and see the city or the country or be involved in the culture or try the food, be authentic, right? So it kind of forces us, not forces. So it does give you a chance to learn about yourself. I know some resorts have different things that you can do on them. And on some trips that I've been on, I've actually taken cooking classes. I've gone and I've watched presentations on different speakers. I've taken little art classes. I've watched movies. So these are some things that are really important. And it's helped me gain and learn a little bit more about myself. Now, when I went to Italy, the one thing I definitely learned about myself is that I was able to just do. I put the worries out of my head because I'd read a few things about that country before I left that put a negative thought in my head. But I learned that I could put what I'd read and heard before I left out of my mind and just soak in Italy for what it was. And it was a beautiful, beautiful country. I got to meet Italians. I got to eat some great food. I got to see some sights that I wanted to see for a good part of my life. And it was fantastic. Now, as I kind of mentioned before, you get out of your comfort zone. And in Italy, I went out for my birthday by myself, all on my own, because, well, I hadn't really met too many people by that point. It was only my first day in Rome. And I found a restaurant and I sat down. I was having a birthday. And that led to one of the coolest birthdays of my life, because all of a sudden there was a guy just a couple tables down who just turned 50, and he was a local Italian. Well, we drank, we sang, we had a good time. It was one of the coolest experiences I ever could have had, right? All because I took a chance on just going out for dinner on my own in Italy with no one else, when I could have gone back to my hotel and just sat around and chilled and relaxed or just wandered aimlessly. I made a choice, and it really got me going. This kind of ties in with flexibility. So when I traveled to Italy, flexibility was key. I had a total of, I think, 8 days. I think there's someone at the door over there. I had a total of 8 days, and I was going to see Rome, Venice, Florence, and Cinque Terre. Sorry if I said that wrong. And so for me, I had to be able to catch buses at different times, and I had to make sure I was, utilizing my time as best I could. So for example, in Rome, on my first night there, I got there, I took a nap when I got there, and then all of a sudden I went out that night and I decided to wander Rome until probably 1 o'clock in the morning-ish. And I got to see the Trevi Fountain almost completely empty. I got to see the Colosseum at night, which was one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And I allowed myself to be flexible, knowing that I'm going to be going on fumes a little bit, but I was flexible in my time, knowing that I wanted to see certain things in a certain amount of time, right? And when you're traveling, sometimes you have to pivot. I remember I missed one of my trains, had to pivot, had to go. In Cuba, I had gotten off one of the buses to Veradero to go hit up the rum store, and I got back and I had no idea where to catch the bus back because it was a different way back. And that took a while, but I also had no plans that night. I do a lot of trips where I don't plan ahead too much. I like to kind of live in the moment and be able to pivot whenever I need to. The best part about traveling alone, traveling solo, is that you can make your trip your own. You're not worrying about what other people want to see, what they want to do. You're not being pulled in multiple directions. The trip is about you. It's not about anybody else. I've been on trips where, I guess one of the best examples would be, I went on a trip years ago, I'm thinking almost 18 years ago, to the Dominican Republic. Well, I'm a guy who likes to explore, and the person I was with liked to just chill and sit on the resort. And I'm really not that kind of person. So we were pulled in a couple different directions because that person wanted me to hang out with them a little bit more at the resort. But I also wanted to go out and see, not Puerto Plata, oh my gosh, Punta Cana. And so one day I allowed that person to stay at the resort. Well, not allowed. I told them I was just going to go. And so I went into the town, I went to the city. I was able to have some local food, met some local people. And although there were some slight fears about things, I had a great time. I felt safe. I never felt threatened. And I came back and it kind of recharged my own battery. So if you're thinking about traveling on your own, I highly encourage it. I mean, I got to do my dream trip last year by myself. I got tired of waiting, and I thought I wasn't going to take that trip until I was over 50. And the fact that I was able to do it and just hop on a plane. I mean, I had two choices, not one, not two. I had two choices. I could have stayed in my hometown for that 9 days I had off work, or I could hop on a plane and go see Italy. And that's what I did, because that's what I wanted to do. I never dreamed of it. It was everything I could have imagined and more. I would love to go back, and that's kind of in the plans. I'd like to go for longer next time, just because I feel like it was a little bit quick, but I still got to see some things I wanted to do. You know, going to Cuba last year, I met some really cool people. I got to relax. So each trip had its own thing. But if I were to give anybody advice who might be watching this, travel solo, travel alone, make the trip your own. Don't worry about other people, and stop waiting for people to join you. Because if you wait, you're never going to go. I'm 47 and I wanted to go to Italy for decades. And I never went because I couldn't find someone to go with. I also wasn't confident. And if there's anything I've learned, is confidence is learned on trips. Because I think another part of the confidence factor was that when you go on a trip, nobody gives a crap what you do, how much money you make, what you drive. You know, I remember one of the best questions I had was on a trip was in Italy, and someone said, "What makes you happy?" I love that question. And we had a great conversation surrounding that. So, but anyways, those are just my thoughts on traveling solo. I highly encourage you to do it. Get out there. And anyways, I will see you on the next one. Cheers.